Welcome everyone back to the channel. Today is Thursday, February 13th, 2020. Tris and I are on our way to Fazios, however you want to pronounce it. We're actually picking up our guinea hens today. We're picking up 6 guinea hens that we can add to our brood of chickens. The good thing about guinea hens is that they imprint on baby chicks. These are actually baby guinea hens, so they'll grow up together. And then they'll look after the chickens as their own. They make a lot of noise, so it'll also help alert us of predator activity or anything like that. So that's what we're going to do right now. Give back, put them in with our chickens, get their feed ready. We're actually going to be using turkey feed for them. It has a higher protein percentage. It's okay for the chickens to eat, so we don't have to worry about that. And then Tris and I are going to do a little bit of work today, so stay tuned and enjoy. So yeah guys, now all I'm going to do is just load up this flatbed or trailer with this open hay that we have in here and go add it to our compost. Looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread out this base layer of these wood shavings. Oh yeah, it definitely smells of chicken droppings and urine and wood and moisture now. As you can see, it's really wet in there because it rained. But I'm going to spread this out on the bottom, these shavings with our chicken droppings. Then I'm going to stack it with some leaves and other material that it has already started breaking down. As you can see, this is really soft and it has already started to decompose. So we have microbes in it breaking this material down already. Then I'm going to put a layer of hay. As you can see, we have hay seeds, and this is very, very dry, but it's dead. So these microbes are going to kickstart the wood chips and this hay to start breaking down in order to create our compost. So I'm going to alternate layers like that. Then I'm going to bring water over here with a hose and a bucket, and I'm going to saturate all these layers to where I see water starting to seep out onto the ground, onto the actual ground. That way I know that this alpha phase of our compost is thoroughly saturated. In about a week's time, so about 6-7 days, there will be enough decomposition that this is actually going to be super warm. If I put my hand in it right now, it's not very warm. It's a little warmer than the ambient temperature, so the temperature in the air currently, but it's not very warm. But after doing this, all of those microbes, like I said, are going to break down all this material, and as they eat it and break it down, everything in there is going to get hot. So it's going to gas off. It's going to create an exothermic reaction. It's going to warm up. So it's actually going to be warmer than, like, say, you or I. So that's going to help the process of breaking down, decomposition, and eventually turn into amazing compost. We actually have a bucket in our house now, a 5-gallon bucket, so we put our food scraps like eggshells and coffee grounds and produce scraps like banana peels and stuff like that, of that nature, and we're going to fold that into this compost as well. So when they break down, all of that carbon, all of that nitrogen is going to enrich, and when we rotate it when we take a rake or a tined fork and we till it up some. We mix it up. It'll just fold in and start breaking down even more. So it's going to give us a great product that we can use in our garden, in our raised beds, in our front yard, anywhere that we want to. So that's what we're about to do. So yeah, I have my compost stalls right here. In the background right here, if you've seen our other videos, this is actually an old dog kennel that was on the property. So there's a slab in it. Sometime this week or next week, Tristan and I are actually going to take this apart and we're going to rebuild it with the existing slab, and we're going to make that into our pig enclosure. So when we get our pigs either next week or the following week, we can put our pigs in there after putting down mulch, so about a foot of mulch, so that they can walk around and defecate and urinate and all that stuff inside of it, and then we can add that to our compost as well. So it's going to be awesome. So I'm just going to get to work, bring a handful of, not a handful, bring some hay over here, and then just start the process. I said not a handful, but I'm going to use my hands because it's quicker. So as you can see, that first little handful has filled it up pretty well. But once I make it wet, it'll help bring it down. So I'm going to take these leaves from yesterday, and I'm just going to throw them in there. Just like this. So all this decaying leaf material, and there's a few sticks and stuff, and that'll break down. The sticks and the small branches, if there's any in there, will take longer to break down. But these leaves have already started decomposing, and they're wet already, so that'll help speed up the process. And just like that. That's all I'm gonna do. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go over here. Actually, I'm gonna go right here, grab some wood shavings, sprinkle some on. And that's all that we have left, because we already used some for another project. I'm just going to sprinkle that around, just like that. Our chicken wire is doing great on the back side and on the side, so nothing to worry about. I'm going to take a rake up these leaves. Go ahead, throw them in there. As you can see, they're all decayed on the bottom of the fresh leaves, or I would say quote unquote fresh leaves. They've already started to decompose, so they already have microbes in them. So it's like seeding, or yeah, seeding. Seeding's the word. So like if you temper chocolate and stuff like that, you leave like 20-30% of the untempered chocolate, cut it up, and you take those seeds or crystals, those crystalline structures, add them back to the melted chocolate, and that's what builds more crystals. So these microbes are going to kickstart this raw material and add additional microbes to it quicker, so it can speed up the decomposition process. Let's add in a Kickstarter. So just like that, I'm gonna go grab some more hay and continue the process. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add more leaves to it. So look at this, guys. So this is what I'm talking about. You see this leaf mold right here? This is microorganisms, mold. All this decomposition right here. So this is leaves and ground foliage that has died because it's been eaten. So we have live bacteria, live cultures in this. So adding it to our raw ingredients, our hay and our other fresh leaves, is just gonna do this same thing, but in a quicker, more efficient manner. So we're just gonna add these leaves. Just like so. The amount of hay that I'm using right now, this is 3 bales of hay loosely broken up. So we already had this hay on our farm from my dad's wedding. We used them as benches. And we don't have any cows right now, so we're using it to kickstart our compost. There's a little bit of straw in this. We have one pine tree near this part of the land. Normally you're not going to use pine straw for compost, but it's not going to hurt it that much. It's just going to take a little bit longer because it's so coarse, and the crystalline structure in it is so different. It's going to just take more time for it to break down. But we have one panel, so we're not really that much into a rush because we have so long. We're probably not going to move this alpha to its beta stall for another week or two or something like that. It all depends on the progression and how warm it is in the next week or two to come. Because the warmer it is, it'll help speed up decomposition. Depends on the internal temperature, moisture content, and how well the actual microbes are doing. So add a few more leaves and then add some more hay to it. So now I'm just going to add some more leaves and top it off with the hay, and then we'll start adding water. So, go ahead. I'm gonna start adding some water to it in a minute. We've been doing a lot of burning on our property. So we have a large amount of wood ash and wood coal. So after about a week or so, I'll mix it up, I'll aerate it, and fold in wood ash and wood coal to add more carbon and increase the pH of the actual pile itself so that it can speed up and enrich more quickly. So I'm going to go ahead, bring over the water hose, and make this nice and moist, nice and wet, which will help speed up the microbes and help break it down. So that's what we're about to do. I ran a water hose from our barn to here. Probably going to keep it right here so I can periodically add water to it so I can make sure that it's saturated. But right now it is dry, super dry. The leaves are wet like I said before, but now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my water hose and I'm going to saturate this until I can almost see water building up on the ground below it. So that's all we're going to do. So this process will help all this material start rotting, because that's essentially what decomposition is. I mean, that's what it is. It's not essentially. But I just want all this material to start breaking down, building bacteria, building microorganisms to feed off of it. Because when they exhale and they burp and they fart, they release gases like nitrogen and all kinds of stuff, which will help this compost be nutrient rich for our gardens, our flower beds, our raised beds, anything that we're going to try to grow. And this is the first step. What else are you going to do? Like after you have this built, after you already have all this material in position, it's pretty much let it do its thing. It's very similar to like fermenting alcohol or kombucha or something. After you have the raw ingredients put together, you just let nature take its course and do what it was going to do. You're helping it, you're kickstarting it. So I just want to make sure that this is all wet and saturated all the way down, because when the water gets caught in the ambient temperature, so tomorrow morning when the sun comes up, it'll hit this radiant heat, and ambient temperature will make the material underneath heat up as well, makes this water steam, which helps break down the raw material. And it's just a breeding ground for microorganisms and bacteria. Like, I wouldn't call them an extremophile because 140 degrees isn't that extreme, but microorganisms like that. Just everyday things that would happen in nature. You're facilitating it. And it doesn't take that much time. Yeah, building the infrastructure or the spot to do it might take a little bit, but yesterday's video we built these stalls in like hour and a half, an hour, 2 hours, something like that. It wasn't bad. It's just going out, doing it, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe somebody watching this knows more than I do, because I just read and looked up stuff because it needs to be done. And if you do, go ahead, drop a comment down below and let me know. Be like, hey, you need to add this or this or this, or that's not going to break down the right way and you're not going to get the best results, or maybe you added too much water or something like that. That's the purpose of this. That's why we're documenting this. We're seeing what works for us, what could work for y'all. We're learning. This type of thing has been done for hundreds of years, so it's a proven theory. We'll call it a law. You put stuff together, you add some water, you add some heat, it's going to get a reaction. So, but this feels pretty wet. I got a baling rope That won't break down because it's nylon, so go ahead and take that out. Put that right here. And like I said in how to build a drag, it's held together by rope, not wire. So it wasn't baling wire. But I did look it up, and there are those square bales of hay. A lot of them come held together by actual wire. Make sure this is all good. And yeah, so like I said earlier, a quick little video. We'll check on this in a few days, probably about a week. The next time you see this, we'll look at this a week from now. So today is Thursday, February 13th. We'll check it next week, Thursday, February 20th. So, thank y'all so much. Go ahead, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time.